Okay, so it looks like we're gonna play Nova. And Crimson, you'll get next game of whoever wins. I'm gonna mute myself for this and eat dinner. Look at this. My boyfriend's amazing. Everyone should get themselves a boyfriend. This guy's a materials engineer, brings home bank. I make burgers that look like this. Yeah. BRB.
You must construct additional pylons. Your probes are under attack.
Upgrade complete.
Go, go, go! Upgrade complete.
SCV ready. SCV ready.
This is not just StarCraft 2 with some random guy eating a burger. This is Starbow! If anyone is just joining the stream and doesn't know what Starbow is, please let me enlighten you. Starbow is a game that is largely based off of SC1 Brood War, the original StarCraft game, in terms of balance. You may see these units of vultures, those campaign units. That's not a campaign unit, that's a vulture from Brood War. And it isn't just the imported campaign vulture. The designers of this game have went into excruciating detail to recreate the behavior set of units. So the vultures have moving shot. Dragoons derp. They go in directions they're not supposed to go in, because that's what they did in Brood War. Guesses early form mode detection as cannons. Yeah, no observer. Pretty bad, because these guys, the vultures, can of course drop off the spider mines. But getting back to what Starbow is, Starbow had a lot of hype in its past. There were big names like Tasteless, Artosis, even Day 9 has casted Starbow. Tasteless and Artosis played off against each other for a long time. It's like every night for a month. Pure Virtue is kind of weird to see. So normally in the Zerg versus Protoss matchup, we see, oh, big mine hit right there. We see the Terran player going mech because it's so efficient against the Protoss player. And the Protoss player playing kind of the way you would think about a Zerg playing, expanding a whole lot, getting a big ground army, and relying on techie caster units like the Arbiter. An Arbiter is a cloaking unit, has a cloak field around it, kind of like a mothership, has a stasis field, similar to the vortex of the mothership. That's actually where they got the idea from the mothership is they just took a Arbiter and made it really fat and slow and worse, much worse. It has recall, which instead of teleporting stuff back to the Nexus, teleports stuff to the Arbiter, so you can fly the Arbiter in here and recall right here, kind of like a Nidusworm-esque effect. Building up a pretty thick spider mine wall, and because our Protoss player did not open with observers, he's going to get kind of contained on 2 base, which is not ideal. Protoss really would like to be taking their 3rd base right about, approaching that 10-minute mark. Now's normally when the Protoss sort of gets out there and gets that expansion down. I'm going to go back to eating now and put the vision on the Protoss. BRB.
Research. Returned. Upgrade complete. I have returned.
I just want to make a comment. We have a fantastic backseat text-based caster, and I've never quite seen a replay with text-based casting before. Just wanted to point that out. Pretty awesome.
My life for ire. I have returned. life for ire. My life for ire. My life for ire.
I'm back. You are watching Starbow, Mr. Ace. Let me get on the everyone cam here. There we go. Oh, I'm not in the game, that's why. Okay. So, Starbow is a game that's mostly Brood War. That's been imported into the SC2 map. It's a fan-made Brood War expansion. Here we can see Spider Mines and the Vulture. But it's not just the campaign versions of the Brood War units imported into a custom game. It's a full mod, and the unit behaviors of the units as they had them in Brood War has been recreated. There's still the StarCraft 2 creature comforts, like having unlimited unit select. I can select all these units. Key binding more than when building to one hotkey. But other than the interface features, the gameplay is very, very similar to Brood War. And on top of this Brood War foundation, they had a little icing on the cake of additional units to expand upon Brood War. These poor Dragoons are getting completely trapped. Big Dragon Mine drags there. Oh, so many mine hits. That mine blew up his own tank. So this is not what we normally see out of Protoss. This is what we see out of Terran. But normally Protoss will include these units called Arbiters. He's opting for Reavers. Drop harass. Oh, jeez, so much going down there. Just want to tell him to build Arbiters. Actually, that did a decent amount of damage. And if these Marines run into these siege tanks, they're going to drag all of these mines into the siege tanks too. I just really want to see all of these run into the siege tanks. Or he could drop them on top of the siege tanks. That was pretty common in Brood War. They're called the Zealot Bombs. You grab a group of Zealots, fold them over a siege tank line, and just blow the shit out of them. So what's going to happen to these Spider Mines are going to aggro onto the Zealots, and the Zealots aggroing the Spider Mines will detonate them, and this entire mineral field right here underneath these tanks get detonated. Here we go, here's some Zealot Bombs. Mostly siege tanks blowing each other up. But it works so efficiently. I really wish he would have had an observer to see all of these juicy mines and dropped a Zealot just right there. All of these mines would have, this whole minefield would have gone up, blowing up all of the tanks. And it only would have cost one Zealot. Still no Arbiter tech out, which really makes me worried. And he's kind of still on 3 base versus somewhat of a 3rd base. I want to see the mech go ahead and grab that 3rd gas. The bunkers. He got the upgrade! The bunker upgrade. Somewhat working, nothing in them. And here the Zealots go. Looks like they're just trying to wrap around, checking for a base down here. Mech slowly making its way across the map. I really want to see Nova clear out these mines. These are just a ticking time bomb with your own mech army sitting on top of them. Back in Brood War, that was a big no-no. You just didn't do that. Zealot Archon is a very odd choice. Normally from the Protoss we see big Dragoon armies with Arbiters for a stasis. And they would stasis like half the Protoss army, half the Terran mech army, and then kill the other half. Kind of like you would a Vortex. And there is a bit of a stream delay. Now we see the Stargates coming up. We should be seeing a tech switch into Archons. Protoss really needs a 4th base. You kind of need 4 gases to support Archon. Not Archon. Arbiters is what I've been meaning to say. There we go. 25 SCVs on a mineral patch? Where? I have no clue what he's talking about. But this hidden base up here, using call down SCV. So that's one thing that's changed between Starbow and Storm. Ooh, big storms going down. But this mainly Zealot army is not going to be able to do too much. But Starbow has the addition of macro mechanics. Because in Brood War, you had to go back to your base, click a building, click a Zealot, click a building, click a Zealot, or you would use the hotkey. But you would do this, and then you would go back and micro your army, and then you would go back and select a unit and build, and select a unit and build, and select a unit and build, and you would come back to discover 30 vultures have driven up next to your dragoons, planted mines and driven away, and all your dragoons are dead. But in Starbow, you just kind of get to stare at your army the whole time and macro from hotkeys. That none of that happened. So macro mechanics were added back into the game from StarCraft 2, so players would have a reason to go look at their base, and hopefully some fun stuff could happen to your army while you were gone. Geez, big flank coming in, just decimating all of those siege tanks. And guys, by the way, I am not a caster by any means. I don't pretend to be a caster. I'm just hosting the NASBL. We're having a tournament next week, and that's going to be a $50 free entry tournament. Let me put it on this guy's vision and get the link for you guys really quick. It's free to sign up. Anyone can join. We normally have, you know, platinum, diamond, masters players play. Sometimes Arthur shows up, who's a Korean pro who plays in a lot of European Starbow tournaments. He doesn't get to make it to all the North American tournaments because it's so late in the evening. We also sometimes have Moralt show up, who's was semi-pro. He played for Root Gaming. Kind of sieging up all over his own mines. Once a Zealot gets in there, you have mine dragging right into the tanks. Jeez. And here comes some Zealot bombs. Oh, I hope he dragged that mine in. You know, very good use of the Zealot bombs. This is really good aggression, even though he does not have the Arbiter. Let me see if he even has stasis. No, it doesn't have stasis field yet either. Here we go, finally getting some Arbiters out. These are going to really help, but yeah, realizing he needs stasis. Actually just grabbing all of the upgrades at once. Finally getting a 4th base with access to gas. He's had this mineral only for a while, but you can't produce Arbiters and you know, the gas-heavy Protoss army without a 4th gas. It just doesn't work. This hidden base has gone on for so long. You know, Protoss desperately trying to scout out, figuring out why the Terran player has this much mech out. Command Center slowly burning to death. Nova, by the way, is a Masters level player, and Apocalypse is Masters as well. Double upgrades, not researching any upgrades, which is cool. One of the things you might notice is these SCVs have 60 freaking health, and they attack pretty fast. Probes, on the other hand, have a range of 1.4 and don't attack as fast. That's the way it was in Brood War. It makes for some pretty early game interesting interactions, and is really how Terran holds off like early cheese. Oh, they unsiege, very smart. Now we see the science vessels coming out with EMP. Science vessels are really the Terran answer to Arbiters. Ooh, big force coming in here. I would like to see some of these science vessels dematrix these tanks, but you know, the mech is really just getting rolled over here. There was no supporting vultures. Normally you'd need a good number of vultures to keep the Zealots off your tanks, but with those tanks just running right into the siege line, they just really decimate here. Again, Apocalypse putting on a very convincing show. We might have to kick Apocalypse off of his throne. This is a